Hello, hello, darlings. Welcome to our first embodied tarot reading of 2021. It's been a bit of a messy and scattered start to the new year, and with a lot of intensity happening, particularly here in the US, a lot coming to the surface for us to be with and work with and keep doing this work over and over again. And here we are. So we're going to drop in and see what the cards and our guides have to offer us for support as we move through this time. So wherever in the world you are, take a few deep breaths and let your sit bones ground into whatever you are being supported by, and not dropping in just a cursory way, but really giving yourself a few moments to feel, to deeply feel yourself as a body, as a soul in a body, as a body sitting on the earth right now, connected through gravity. And breathing that in for a moment, breathing yourself in as you are arriving here, welcoming yourself into this space, welcoming yourself to whatever it is that you're here to receive. And I'll ask my guides and ancestors, have something to offer, something in our highest and best for us to receive right now, to come in and just create a sacred container for us to move with these cards, with the vibrations of our world, and with each other. I want to start by specifically asking what it is that we might do to ground a bit amidst all of this intensity heading into the first month of 2021. Okay. All right, so the first card that came up specifically around grounding is the Six of Pentacles. This is a card that's all about being in a space of giving and receiving and getting curious about where the balance is in the giving and receiving. This card invites us to really ground into what resources we have at our disposal and asks us to give from those resources in a way that's really in alignment. So there's a little, a little sense of curiosity, but also like peeking under the hood a little bit, like we can know that we have a car that works well, but like, do we know what the engine is that's kind of giving it that ability to move? That's a bit of a Six of Pentacles situation where it's like, if we can understand what it is that we're giving from, we can better resource ourselves so that we can give from that space in a way that's really actually a yes for us, and not just the yes that we think it is because it fits into a particular paradigm that we're playing into, and then being again in that space of like, okay, but if I'm giving from this space of well-resourcedness, can I also be receiving in that space as well? Can we get curious about like, I mean, this is sort of ridiculous because I'm not at all a car person, but apparently this metaphor is what's here right now. Like, can we know what fuel we need in order to actually keep doing that and not just be open to receiving it, but reach out and ask for it and take it? Be willing to actually take it and receive it, okay? Then we have the Five of Cups coming out, which makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of grief that's happening in our world right now. And we've been being asked to show up to Five of Cups for a long time now. For a lot of 2020, this card has been circulating around as we process through collective like reordering, but also just an awareness of the ways that like cycles are ending and what we're stepping into next. But there's a piece of Five of Cups. It's like, yeah, and before we step ahead, like, can we be with the loss? Can we be with what it is that we have lost, that we are continuing to lose? Even if there is a sense of like, okay, but like what's coming next is greater. I think so often we want to jump to that silver lining, we want to jump past the pain. We want to jump past the place that feels messy because we don't want to be messy. We don't want to be out of control. So Five of Cups asked us to, as my teacher Lindsay Max says, like make space at the table for grief that we might not even have a name for, an understanding of, like, I mean, we can talk about like societal grief of things that are coming into our awareness in bigger and bigger ways right now. And also just like the grief of the planet is a really huge piece of like, it's not something that we are conscious of all the time and that we're always making space for. Is the reality of what's happening on a global scale, and to our mother, the earth. We want to talk about giving and receiving resources. Like, let's look at that connection of how we are in relationship to the earth and to the environment. So it asks us to make space at the table. And the thing of it is, and grief gets to be as deep and as long, and it just gets to be what it is because it's such a huge part of what makes us human, right? And when we can really let ourselves grieve it, then we can feel into the truth of the love that's there. If we ignore the grief, then we ignore the love. We ignore what made space for the pain to be able to be there in the first place, to have something to lose. So it makes us human, makes us more human to be able to be with that. So that's an invitation for us all there. And then we have the Knight of Swords. And this is coming in a place of like, not so much what we are grounding into now. I think the Six of Pentacles and the Five of Cups is very much what we are grounding into and processing through right now. And the Knight of Swords gives us a little bit of a glimpse ahead. Now, this can be kind of a scary card to be like looking at this image of this sort of massive and monstrous bird coming down, and this knight with the mask on, this sort of bird mask that's facing the danger in a really intense way. The Knight of Swords is about speed, and is about moving towards what we know we need to take care of with confidence and with clarity and without messing around. Like there are some cards in the tarot that are like, slow down, be prepared, don't move too quickly. If there's something right now that you have that clarity around and you know that it needs to happen, this is a card that says go. Don't wait, okay? Like, this energy is moving, it is in motion, it is ripe right now. Go and trust yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust that you wouldn't be getting this message unless it was what you needed to hear. And go. And also acknowledging that is, as you do move forward in this way, as you say yes to whatever it is that you're being asked to, whether it's a challenge that is ready to be faced head on or something that is like really exciting that it's time to grasp. As you do that, can you caretake your nervous system? Can you come back to the Six of Pentacles and make sure that if you are giving of yourself, that you're also receiving the fuel that you need to be sustainable in this speed? Because if you're going to go right now, there's going to be a time that you do need to rest. There's going to be a time that you do need to stop. And we can actually bring grief along for the ride with this. Like, this isn't a dichotomy of like first grieve and then like do the things. Like, no, like those cups can come with us. Those pentacles can come with us. And we're just going to keep on moving in, the direction. Trust yourself. We got one more card, I think. Okay. The Nine of Swords. Because I just said trust yourself, right? And so Nine of Swords wants to make sure we are aware of the ways in which we are scared to trust ourselves. Ways in which we are scared to take the actions. The Nine of Swords isn't so much a projection of something that is to come. And again, bit of an intense card to look at. I want to point out, though, that in the Knight of Swords, which we had here, this is an older figure than this one. And that's because the Nine of Swords, so often the thoughts that bombard us, that attack us, that keep us holding back from the things that we know are right for us or that we know are wrong for us, are stories that were created when we were very young about the ways that it is and is not safe to be in the world. These thoughts and these cycles of shame and insecurity You know, like when we get trapped in those thought loops, like that's Nine of Swords. But the medicine of Nine of Swords is to remind us that this is something that is coming through not because of this particular small situation, you know, that there's a history to it, that we need to look back at that history so that we can start to unravel and to question and to shine a light on some of what these thoughts and stories are trying to tell us, so that we can get resourced, so that we can give from our fullness, and so that we can move forward towards what it is that we are being called to do. Okay. So we're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it a little bit short this week. That's just what I'm getting called to have happen, but I am sending so much love to all of you as we move through this. Yes, it's intense. Yes, we're in it together. So lots of love. I'll see you next week.